If there's one genre of movies I'm really a fan of, it's horror. Spooks, monsters, slashers, freaks of nature, you name it. If it's scary, I'm going to watch it. And while I don't celebrate Halloween due to religion and faith reasons, I enjoy this season because it brings something I like: scary movies. Also because it's sale season at costume stores, but it's mostly the scary movies. Every October, I make it a tradition to watch horror movies every day. October is my most favorite month of the year, and it's not just because it's my birthday. Now, when someone say horror, the term sorta lost its meaning from what it was originally. Now you can make a comedy or a romance, but add a monster in it, and that instantly makes it horror. That's not what we're going to look at here. We're going to look at movies that contains real horror. The kind of horror that brings nightmares in your sleep. The kind of horror that makes you shake in fear. The kind of horror that makes you paranoid when you get in a dark alley. In other words, the really scary movies. Now, just like comedy, I know horror can be subjective. What is scary to me might not be scary to you and vice versa. And I understand that some of these choices may not be scary to all of you. Don't worry, I know someone who found the original Exorcist funny. Seriously. With that said, I'm going to list my personally favorite scariest movies I've seen in my life. Or at least by the time of making this video. I still haven't seen every movie in existence, and there's a chance 1 or 2 movies are going to be replaced in the future. Also, this is not a top 10 from worst to best, just 10 choices, without a specific order. But first, here are some honorable mentions that didn't make the final list. Ju-on the Grudge. I'm talking of course about the Japanese movie. Wasn't sure if I'd choose this or The Ring, but I went with Ju-on thinking it is the better movie. Some effects are a bit dated, and first time viewing may cause some confusion since it's not a linear movie. Nonetheless, it is one of the classics of Japanese horror movies that you need to give it a shot. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Lost a spot for another movie in the final list, but I still think it's one of the scariest slasher flicks. It doesn't rely on gore, in fact there wasn't much of it, but the uneasiness and the madness of the family can get you very unsettled. Carrie. Because I was a victim of bullying, stories involving bullying usually touches a certain nerve in me. Some of them can get borderline silly, other times it works effectively when done right. This is one of them, and I highly recommend it. The Shining. We all know it's not accurate to the book and Stephen King didn't like it, but the movie is still well done. The only reason I'm not including it in the top 10 is because I didn't think Jack Nicholson was the right man for the role. They really needed someone who looked normal and not crazy Jack Nicholson doing his crazy Jack Nicholson face all the time. With that said, let's get to the actual list. Misery. Sometimes, the obviously scary ones aren't necessarily the scariest of them all. Meet Annie Wilkes. You thought today's fans were crazy enough? At least they aren't psychotic homicidal maniacs. For the most part. This movie is every creator's nightmare. An obsessed self-entitled fan who wants to project their fanfiction to the creator's work. Annie Wilkes is so scary and so unpredictable throughout the movie. Seriously, you can't tell when she is really nice or planning a crazy scheme to keep Paul within her grasp. Definitely one of Stephen King's best and possibly the best example of a Western yandere. The Omen. One thing I like about older horror movies is how subtle they can get and let the suspense build up instead of using cheap tricks for a quick scare. This movie was creepy as hell. What helps it is Damien doesn't even act like he's the child of the devil, but more of a normal kid, but everything around him is creepy with its dark and foreboding atmosphere, scenery, and music. It just sends the shiver down your spines. Don't bother with the 2006 remake, it's terrible and completely removed everything that made the original great. It's not subtle, it's not atmospheric, it's all fake jump scares and the acting is terrible. Q. A 1997 movie about a bunch of strangers trapped in a cubic maze trying to get out of it while avoiding all sorts of death traps. At first you may think this is just another gore fest or gore porn that relies on the violent ways the characters dying and lacks any sort of development, but that's not how the movie is. Not only the gore is minimum, but the characters are not idiots. They actually think and analyze their situations and find clues on where they are and how to get out like intelligent people, which is a rare thing to see in movies of such kind. There's also a great twist about this movie. I'm not going to spoil it, I'll leave that for you to find out. If you want something like Saw but focuses on the characters and not the violence, you should check this one out. Eraserhead. This is definitely one of the most bizarre movies I've ever seen in my life. It's so surreal and freaky, it's one pack of nightmare fuel you can't forget. It's so freaky and stylish, and the fact nothing gets explained add more to the horrific stuff you see in this amazing work of art. Seriously, what is this movie? Day of the Dead. Now this is a scary zombie movie. There are no laughing matters in this one, as everyone is batshit insane and ready to kill anyone nonchalantly and laugh at it. The gore in this movie is also a different matter. When the characters are being killed, they don't just die, they suffer horribly and you can feel the pain they go through. That one character who kept screaming till they ripped his head off was the most difficult one to watch. With his screaming getting higher in pitch, it sends a shiver down your spine, and it's so bloody thanks to Tom Savini's awesome practical effects that makes these walking corpses so real it's frightening. In hindsight, this movie is like a prototype for The Walking Dead, as it shows similar themes like humanity going insane, living in isolated areas where humans still live, the ethics and morality of the zombies. A lot of it are stuff expanded on with The Walking Dead franchise. Also, Bob was the best zombie ever. Exorcist III. The first Exorcist movie is one of the most iconic horror movies and started the demonic possession flicks, but I think Exorcist III, also known as Legion, is the better movie. The Gemini Killer is amazing. All credit to his actor Brad Dourif, who's most famous as Chucky the Doll, who managed to pull off that creepiness with this performance, giving us one of the scariest performances ever in cinema. Cinematography is also great looking, with a lot of interestingly placed shots. It makes me wonder how this movie would turn out if it was done by Stanley Kubrick. Not to mention the sound design that helped increasing the creepiness factor. Of course, we can't forget George C. Scott, as he was also one of the best things about it. I got used to him being the angry shouting type like in Patton, Dr. Strangelove, and 12 Angry Men. It was interesting seeing him in a much calmer role. Speaking of scares, this movie has what might be the best jump scare in a horror movie ever. One of the scariest jump scares I've ever seen in my life. The only scene I'm not too fond of is the exorcism itself, but I don't think it affects the overall experience. Jacob's Ladder. If you love Silent Hill, then you need to watch this movie, as it is one of the main inspirations for it, and you can see how it influenced it with these ambiguous setups and bizarre shifts without giving much explaining going on, making you question what's real and what's not. There is a twist ending to this movie that I'm not giving away, but rewatching it with that knowledge in mind can give you a different perspective to everything happening. The horror moments are these small and subtle moments that can leave a lasting impression, and it delivers a good use of jump scares that are actually effective. If you're disappointed by the actual Silent Hill movies, then you got this one. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I thought the 1956 version was a bit slow at the beginning and almost boring, but the plot picks up with the discovery of the pods. The 1978 version, on the other hand, a vast improvement over the original. Better acting, better effects, better music, better pacing, better build-up, and overall a better movie. From start to finish, it had this unsettling feeling, making the situation very disturbing, with great timing for shock moments and not overused fake jump scares, making this indeed a classic horror movie and one of the best remakes ever. There were other remakes done with different commentaries for their time, but not one of them were as effective as the 1978 version. The Thing. When someone lists an example of a remake done right, this one is usually mentioned. They weren't exaggerating when they said this is one of the best remakes ever, or even one of the best horror movies, period. So technically, it is an adaptation, not a remake. The paranoia level is so damn high, there are no hope spots. The characters aren't the dumb kind who blindly go to danger or treat them as a joke like most usual slasher films. And these effects, man, the gore is so grotesque, is unbelievable they made it all practically. And yes, these are by Stan Winston himself. It's amazing how this movie lost against E.T. and was trashed by critics, but now it is seen as one of the best horror movies ever made. The irony of time. Halloween. I was debating myself if I'd put this or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as my top favorite slasher movies because they're equally great, but I went with Halloween. The movie is creepiness from start to finish. That piano tune is stuck in my head and it's only adding to the creep factor. And Michael Myers is a total creep as well, and it's really disturbing seeing his first crime as a kid. The way he is described is creepy. His mask is creepy. The way he stalks his victims is creepy. Definitely worthy of the moniker of the Shade. The human characters act like regular characters, and you get to have fun with their conversations, and they're not annoying that you want them to die, and Dr. Loomis is one of the most iconic characters ever. And how scary was it? Let me tell you this. I saw Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre all in 1 month back to back. Out of those 4 franchises, it was Michael Myers that appeared in one of my nightmares. I'm not making this up. Halloween is the classic slasher film. This is one that got it the best. While others focus on using gore with flat characters, Halloween feels like a real story to tell. And these were the scariest horror movies I've seen. What are the scariest movies you've ever seen? Have you seen any of the movies listed here? Comment below and tell us what give you your nightmares. That's all for today, and I'll see you next time.